If we've learned anything from the Ellen DeGeneres scandal, it's that nothing talk show hosts do should surprise us. Some hosts' horrible behavior happens in front of the cameras, while others reportedly terrorize their guests behind the scenes. However it went down, these TV hosts treated their guests like trash. Tucker Carlson rarely hides his animosity towards his guests, and apparently the Fox News personality doesn't need to. Thanks to his fans and his haters, viewers have turned him into a ratings giant, with many tuning in to see what he might say and how he might react at any given moment. He's called guests names, he's refused to accept guests' responses, and he's questioned the credentials of academics.
Are you really a professor, by the way? What?
But that hasn't been the worst of his alleged mistreatment of guests. According to Kathy Arue, a former guest on Tucker Carlson Tonight, the married talk show host made inappropriate advances toward her. In a July 2020 complaint filed in federal court via Vulture, Arue alleged that the show's tech crew would not let her leave the set until Carlson had a chance to ask her if she wanted to go to a hotel room with him. She shut down the invitation, and she was asked back to the program only a few more times. In response, Fox News stated that the network takes this type of claim seriously and added, "Based on the findings of a comprehensive independent investigation conducted by an outside law firm, we have determined that all of Kathy Arue's claims are false, patently frivolous, and utterly devoid of any merit." As of 2021, the lawsuit is still pending. Dr. Phil McGraw's hit talk show has been on the air since 2002. But over those years, he has found himself in hot water a few times. Using what the New York Post calls scumbag tactics, McGraw attempts to create the most compelling interviews by challenging his guests. The approach has been criticized by many in the mental health community, but even so, he soldiers on.
I feel like I'm being totally attacked, and it's not...
No, you're being questioned.
In 2017, guest Kaden Mahaffey was roundly mocked on Dr. Phil's stage for her beliefs that she had psychic abilities. She claimed the experience caused a mental breakdown, which resulted in her being committed to a mental health facility, according to TMZ.
Can you tell me what I'm thinking right now?
I can't really do it on demand necessarily.
Take your time.
Mahaffey later sued McGraw and CBS, claiming, "I was misled by the show into thinking my appearance in the episode was to talk about the alleged abuse my boyfriend went through by his mother and grandmother." But perhaps the most questionable treatment of a guest was McGraw's 2016 interview with Shelley Duvall. McGraw appeared to sensationalize the actor's mental health problems on the show and in promotional teasers.
A star's descent into mental illness.
The man who threatened me is the sheriff of Nottingham.
The backlash was fierce, including from Vivian Kubrick, who is the daughter of Duvall's director on The Shining, Stanley Kubrick. She tweeted that the Dr. Phil show was a, quote, utterly heartless form of entertainment. Countless headlines have been made about Matt Lauer's alleged misconduct toward female coworkers. He lost his Today Show gig and his career, but there were others who were allegedly subjected to mistreatment, including his guests.
The major thing that's changed since you were here last?
Yes.
I have now seen you naked.
Take his 2009 interview with Sandra Bullock, where Lauer apparently struggled to talk about anything other than a racy scene in The Proposal. In 2012, Lauer spoke to Anne Hathaway during her promotional run for Les Mis, where he referred to a wardrobe malfunction at the movie's premiere, quipping, "Nice to see you. Seen a lot of you lately." What's the lesson learned from something like that? There's also his 2017 interview with Corey Feldman about allegations regarding the abuse of child stars, a topic the actor has talked about for years. Lauer wondered why Feldman would appear on Today when he could be talking to the authorities.
Why are you sitting down talking to me? Why aren't you sitting down with the police right now?
To that, Feldman responded, "I told the police. If anyone wants to go back to 1993, when I was interviewed by the Santa Barbara Police Department, I sat there and I gave them the names. They're on record." When Lauer asked why he hadn't gone back to the police more recently, Feldman cited the statute of limitations in California. The legendary Barbara Walters has been in the Television Academy Hall of Fame since 1989, and her long career has had its share of eyebrow-raising moments. During Walters' 1991 interview with Bette Midler, the singer shockingly claimed, "Geraldo Rivera and his producer came to do an interview with me in the early 70s. They pushed me into my bathroom. They broke 2 poppers and pushed them under my nose and proceeded to grope me." To that, Walters responded,
"Well, let's go on to other things, shall we?"
Rivera later denied the accusation and claimed Midler was upset over a tell-all book he wrote about his romantic conquests. Then, on a 2013 episode of The View, Walters clashed with another guest. As Corey Feldman spoke with the panel about allegations regarding child entertainers in Hollywood, the host questioned the cost of his claims, adding, "Are you saying that they're pedophiles and that they're still in this business? You're damaging an entire industry." For years, Bill O'Reilly was the leader of cable news programs. He rose to the top with his acerbic style in dealing with guests. The former host of The O'Reilly Factor had a short fuse and would blow up if guests challenged him or seemed to get the better of him in a debate. It could be argued, given the ratings, that O'Reilly acted this way to drive up his numbers. Regardless, audiences ate it up. But what was apparently hidden below the surface was also vile. According to the New York Times, a former guest on The O'Reilly Factor, Wendy Walsh, alleged that O'Reilly made a pass at her after he offered her a role at the network. She rejected him, and he allegedly rescinded the offer.
I had a business dinner with Mr. Bill O'Reilly, and he asked me to go to his hotel room afterwards.
Walsh said of O'Reilly's behavior, "I feel bad that some of these old guys are using mating strategies that were acceptable in the 1950s and are not acceptable now. I hope young men can learn from this." Juliette Huddy, another guest of the show, also accused O'Reilly of inappropriately pursuing a relationship with her and trying to kiss her. O'Reilly has consistently denied all claims of harassment and misconduct, and both Walsh's and Huddy's complaints against O'Reilly were settled out of court.
Many women go into the settlement agreement because they just don't want to face what potentially could be coming at them.
For more than 20 years, Chris Matthews hosted Hardball on MSNBC. In that time, the veteran TV personality was never shy about commenting on the looks of his female guests. In a 2017 piece from the Daily Caller, one Hardball producer claimed Matthews regularly rated the looks of the women who appeared on his program, going so far as to declare the, quote, hottest of the week.
I get in trouble for this, but you're great looking, obviously. You're one of the God's gifts to men in this country.
While this drew criticism for Matthews, his reign on TV remained secure until freelance journalist and columnist Laura Bassett shared her personal story about the host with GQ. Having appeared on Matthews' show in 2016, she claims he requested the makeup artist continue to apply makeup to Bassett's face, alleging that he said, "Why haven't I fallen in love with you yet? Keep putting makeup on her. I'll fall in love with her." On another occasion, Matthews allegedly asked Bassett if she had plans that night and then instructed a makeup artist to wipe her face so no other men would see her looking camera-ready. Bassett initially shared her story in 2017, but didn't name names in order to protect her career. Shortly after she published her piece in 2020, Matthews announced his retirement and later told Vanity Fair that Bassett's complaints about his behavior were, quote, highly justified.
Compliments on a woman's appearance that some men, including me, might have once incorrectly thought were okay. We're never okay.
In legal documents obtained by Deadline, PBS ordered an investigation into Tavis Smiley's conduct while employed with the network after they received numerous complaints about his behavior and activities. The host reportedly engaged in inappropriate conduct with multiple women, including guests that were on a show. According to NBC News, one guest from 2008 and 2009 alleged that she had an intimate relationship with Smiley. She said it was consensual, but added, "Women are put in a bad position when their boss hits on them." She told the investigator that she was not asked to return to the show. In the end, Smiley was fired in 2017. In March 2020, he was ordered to pay PBS nearly $1.5 million for breaching their morality clause. A lawyer for the network explained, "You can't have a consensual relationship between a manager and a subordinate because of the power dynamic. It's never consensual because that manager has power over all aspects of that person's employment." While Smiley has denied the allegations, a judge further upped the amount due to PBS to $2.6 million in August 2020. Nancy Grace is an acquired taste, and because of her style of questioning, as well as her obvious opinions, she's been at the center of a few controversies throughout her lengthy career. In 2006, years after her kidnapping, Elizabeth Smart appeared on Nancy Grace to promote the passing of a new sex offender bill. The host, however, simply wanted to rehash Smart's traumatic experience, despite her guest's very obvious discomfort.
You were afraid, I assume.
Yeah.
The same year, Grace forcefully questioned Melinda Duckett about the disappearance of her 2-year-old son, Trenton. She even accused the mother of hiding information.
Why aren't you telling us and giving us a clear picture where you were before your son was kidnapped?
Because I'm not going to put those kind of details out.
The next day, Duckett took her own life, leading her family to file a lawsuit against the show host. According to ABC News, the case was settled out of court, with Grace paying $200,000 to establish a trust dedicated to finding the missing boy. Duckett's lawyers also stated, "The parties now agree that Nancy Grace, the producers of her program, and CNN engaged in no intentional wrongdoing in the course of dedicating a program to finding the missing toddler, as alleged in the lawsuit." Duckett's grandfather, Bill, however, disagrees with that assessment. He said, "Nancy Grace and the others, they just bashed Melinda to the end." If you or someone you know is having suicidal thoughts, please call the National Suicide Prevention Line at 1-800-273-TALK. 8255 or text HOME to the crisis text line at 741-741.